JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, November 17, 919. A really quick rant. I'll talk quick about the market, some names I'm looking at. Go from there. S&P futures in the red now, actually green overnight. And then just in the last hour and a half, melted the lows. I hate gaps, morning gaps on the upside. So they typically get sold. I would have liked today's action to open in the green, melt, close the gap, and then reverse course. That would be the ideal scenario. We're not getting that. So hopefully we don't get some pull at the open and then worry about testing some of the supports from last week. But lots of stuff this week. It's one of the first weeks in recent memory where there's a lot of market catalysts, right? We have earnings. So you have retail names, Walmart, Home Depot, Target, and then the big headliner, of course, is NVIDIA's earnings Wednesday after the close. We get jobs data, right? That'll be the first major piece of data that, well, outside the CPI, which was kind of pulled forward. That'll be on Thursday. And then it's going to be interesting. We get the Fed minutes Wednesday after the afternoon. So I guess the good thing here is the market's going to kind of get some idea of what's going on in the market in the economy, right? Where we kind of had the blinders on with the government shutdown. Now we get to peer at the consumer. I think is one of the big question marks here. So we just had Walmart CEO stepped out or announced the CEO last week. But I think Walmart, Target, and Home Depot kind of give a better, clear picture on what's going on and the guidance going forward. So big stuff there. I keep talking about, or at least for for recent memory, using support resistance on a SPY is kind of like the areas where if we do break support, I'll be getting hedge puts or positions to at least play for short-term downside. So I remain cautiously optimistic. I think we get some kind of chop here today and tomorrow. Maybe that sets the footing at, may I say, new all-time highs. But at the same token, you got to think that, if there's a situation where there's so much negativity in regards to the market and the AI bubble and all these different catalysts, you would think the possibility for downside's kind of there. So certainly, there's times over the last couple of years where I'm more skewed to the upside, just loaded on calls. I would say loaded, but not much in the way of the puts. Now I'm kind of open to both sides. So that's that. Yeah, over the weekend, still 13F file. It's the filing season, so you get all these funds announcing their holdings. Obviously, Michael Burry was the first one to hit last week, and now you have Berkshire Hathaway announcing their filings, including adding Google. Right. I remember when they first added Apple, Berkshire stayed away from that stuff, right? And I remember one of the big caveats for Buffett was he never invest in airlines, and then they never. I think there was another one of that, but then they went against that by getting into Apple, and obviously that paid off handsomely. And we'll see what happens here with Google. All right, so that's kind of the overall markets. I mean, I would love to see the 10-year drop under 4% in the coming days. I think that'll bode well, but certainly, this week is kind of like a key week. I think when we get the earnings in line, consumer looks pretty good with Target, Walmart, and Home Depot. NVIDIA earnings, you have to think it's going to be a beat and raise. Monster report, it's just how as the market can react. And I think when we get that out of the way, then maybe, we can constructive move to the upside. All right, so that's overall market. Just quick on individual names. I mean, Monster last couple Fridays, the kind of Fridays, and hate to be on the put side, but better to be in the puts and make money than not in those positions. But we'll see how this week plays out. But SanDisk continues to be kind of like that proxy for me in regards to the market. So when I see it holding ground when the market's tumbling, kind of means, okay, maybe the market's going to bounce here. At some point, it's either going to be 350 plus or it's going to be under $200. So I'm going to continue to look for opportunities to trade that one this week. Monster trade last week. I was saying on the rant yesterday, I don't know if it was last Thursday. No, it was Friday. I played the SanDisk puts for 1,000%, and then the call, it was 1,000% on the call side, and then to flip it around did on the put side on Friday, or Thursday into Friday. So just continues to be a great option trade in regards to its movement. So I'll continue to look at that one. But take a look today. It was gapping all the way into 265s overnight. It's down here at 255. So pretty much flat as a pancake. So I'll be watching that at the open for opportunities. That's SanDisk. Sorry, just a little. Okay, then just individual names too. Target reports earnings Wednesday before the open. That one's come on hard times, right? They had the CEO announcement. You thought, okay, that was maybe going to restart at least some upward movement on the stock. That wasn't the case. I thought the announcement of their new CEO would finally put all that. I guess the bearish argument to rest. That didn't happen. You see the stock all the way down to $84 in October. Let's see, I don't have the chart here. But I was looking, I'm like, I might play this for premium builds into Wednesday's earnings. So the thought would be to get some calls. I was looking, this week's strikes are expensive, so I might go maybe the 110s, the December's, and then look to close some out before the close Tuesday. Uh, the issue with the new CEO wasn't a new CEO. It's still the from the old regime when they announced a new CEO for Target. So it's not like you get a fresh someone from the outside with a fresh look on the name. So I think that's some reason why the stock has struggled. But maybe it's got that, the woke sell off that's been kind of hanging over the stock for a while. Maybe that's kind of out of the way. So I think that's an opportunity. So don't be surprised I had some calls there. Sorry. Just other names. Obviously, Lemonade looks like a possible bull flag setting up. So, it's not looking good here in the pre-market. It was actually mid 70s, just dropped under $70 here. If it gets to 72, 73 today, I might look for some more strikes to play that one for upside. Nice strength on Friday. Let's see. Oh, RH, right? RH all the way down to its Liberation Day lows in April. Another name, I keep looking for this one for a bounce. I had those strikes. Some lottos before the big pull off on Thursday. I thought maybe 180, 190, but want to be in before it starts to move. So don't be surprised I had some strikes there. And then last but not least here, Intuit. Intuit reports earnings Thursday before the open. I think it's Thursday after the close. A name I've traded. I started to look at it at the end of last year. The new administration's policies in regards to taxes, right? Yeah, I mean the craziness that goes into people preparing their taxes is just mind-boggling, right? And you look at a name like Intuit. I think 30% of its revenues comes from tax preparation software. At first, I remember years ago offering the free services for tax preparation. You thought that was going to be the kind of cause some weakness on Intuit. That wasn't the case. Then I thought the new administration's policies in regards to maybe getting away some of the things that have I guess created demand for tax preparation services, taking away all those loopholes and all those things. So in a nutshell, that was some of bear case. I was looking at puts at the start of the year, and then the stock did relatively well. And now you have to think that maybe the advent of AI, which I mean has hurt the stock, but there's so many of their services that they do. Obviously, their QuickBooks and things like that. AI can do a lot of that. So I mean, there's a lot of these names out there that you would think. Adobe is another name I keep looking at. Don't be surprised. Add some inexpensive puts for premium build into the earnings. I was looking earlier, the 560s maybe. I know that's a far cry. It was $800 back in August, but don't be surprised if I add some puts just for premium build into the report. Close them out, cover costs, ride the rest. All right, that's it. We got 4 minutes to open. I'll be back on the wheel later. Rock and roll.